All right, welcome to Current Electric Vehicles. Hey, crimping ain't easy.
But it sure is fun.
There you go, my man. All right, so I'm here with Eric Dotson. Eric, tell me a little bit about where you're from. What's your shop?
I have a shop in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's SQC Tuning. I specialize in electronics and wiring and engine tuning, both electric and gas. And I like going fast.
There you go. And that right there is the main reason Eric has come out to California. And, he works with us and does special projects, a lot of, contract work. What I want to talk about today, Eric, tell me the difference, between high voltage wiring and low voltage wiring. So tell me about the high voltage first.
First, we want to keep them completely separate.
Okay.
Right? We got a 12-volt system in traditional cars that are going to be running things like headlights, fans, radios, stuff like that. The high voltage system is 400 volts, and it's completely isolated from the chassis. It's never grounded to the body or anything like that. It's completely separated.
So why would you need it completely separated?
So you don't fry the 12-volt side of things.
Okay.
And also to keep the occupants safe, because 12 volts will tickle if you get shocked.
Yeah.
400 volts will lock up your muscles and give you a heart attack. You're not letting go of that. So
safety first.
Safety first. Safety
All right.
first.
Well, let's get a look under here and let's see what you did to this guy.
So this has a Cascadia Motions motor, and I just installed the Cascadia inverter, which is what actually converts our battery DC current to AC current for the motor windings. We're working on this. This is actually going to be our AC going into the motor. We're waiting on a connector to come in so that we can connect that. But I've got the DC coming from our front box into the inverter so far. And then we have two boxes in here, a front box and a trunk mounted box. And that's for weight distribution and packaging.
Right. So how do you connect those though?
We run them in series. So that means it's kind of daisy chained.
Right.
So we take the positive from one box and the negative from the other box, and then they come together to meet at the inverter.
Okay.
So you can kind of see a routed.
And that's right here.
Yes.
So that's the connection for the DC.
That is where the DC from the batteries enters the inverter and gets converted inside that unit.
Okay. One of the things that I really like about what you're doing here is I see this is all nice and clean, and it's going through, not a firewall, but
firewall grommets.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't want any sharp metal edges to bind through here. I sheathe everything, so anything that rubs, it has like an extra layer, and then the wiring that we're using actually has a shielded layer that protects it, so it's kind of like a layer cake or an onion, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So to get to the high voltage, you have to go through four layers,
4 layers of rubber before you get to it.
I try to keep everything super secure and tight to different mounting locations, so the chances of rubbing are minimized best you can. Things get hot, things get vibrated going down the road. It's not a stationary object. You want to try to keep everything secure and isolated when you're dealing with this kind of stuff.
I noticed you got some pretty big honking cables here
So we try to use 2-aught primarily. I believe this is 1-aught also coming from Cascadia.
Okay.
So that's why we have to get a different plug connector.
Okay.
For one of our connections. I come from gas, so it's like fuel system. You want to have overdo your fuel system so you don't ever have to think about it again. So we're just trying to make sure that everything has enough current. There's low resistance. Again, coming back to power, it gives you the most power delivery because you got enough current.
Now, these 3 wires here, this is what actually goes to the motor. So this is actually going to be supplying power to the motor.
Yep.
We're looking at these 3 fittings right here. So right here is where these 3 will connect.
Yes.
And that will turn the motor.
Right. So
which in turn turns, the equivalent of a transmission, which is a torque box.
Yes.
And then that goes drive line right to the rear end.
Right. And that's where it becomes Caprice again.
Yeah. So basically everything from here forward is
it's like
a whole new, like a heart transplant.
Resto mod, right? It's the evolution of resto modding. And we're making 300 horsepower out of these motors, so they're just gonna boogie. The small block that came out of this thing probably made 150 horsepower. So.
Oh yeah, at best. Well, what I like about this, I talk to a lot of folks and they just, either love it or hate it. But if you think about this from here forward, what's the difference in putting an electric motor in here or putting an LS.
Size,
Right?
space.
Size, space, and even power. But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're changing the running gear
Right.
to the stock car.
Absolutely.
So I think this is the new age of hot rodding right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is it. Thanks for the explanation on the high voltage. So let's go check out some low voltage. What did you run into when you came out to do the wiring?
So the first task I was given, this car had a wire fire. Something had shorted out in the harness that runs the front part of the car. It's integrated into the fuse box. So I had to kind of unweave it out of the car, and then we had a replacement harness provided to us through Restoration Designs. We pulled that out, and then I've been playing detective, trying to figure out what different things are. I actually found a problem up in this corner where a hot wire had been hooked up to a ground wire. And my theory is like either the bulb was out or a mercury switch wasn't connecting. But once it finally did connect, it ended up melting the harness and causing a wire fire. So we've gone through and rewired the whole front section here. And then we also integrated some of our EV harness into the same area.
I have a little bit of experience troubleshooting electrical stuff, and man, to find a short, like a direct short, that can be tough.
Yeah.
But why would the car have run for so long and then you see this problem?
My theory is either a bulb had acted as a fuse and popped.
Okay.
And then maybe the bulb got replaced, and or maybe in conjunction to this area. And this is triggered by lifting the hood. I believe it's a mercury switch that actually triggers it. Yeah. So the light's off with the hood closed. Once the hood opens with the new bulb,
you got the direct short.
It was creating the direct short. Yep.
All right. Now, if we look under here, I'm noticing there's a whole lot of new wires. This is all brand new wiring. Brand new. Yeah.
This is going to be our wiper motors. A lot of this is going to actually go to EV components, like our new AC unit's going to have totally different controls than the original because we're not using the heat from the motor to heat the car anymore.
Okay.
So we're going to have different controls. And then our front battery box is up here. We're going to have AC, a vacuum pump for the brakes, and a heater for the HVAC. Along
with all of the other 12-volt stuff that the car would normally have. Yep. Headlights, signal lights, flashers, whatever. Pumps for the windshield washer.
This is the SC. It's got fog lights.
Yeah.
Well, like some of the stuff that aren't up here anymore, like the fuel sending unit's not going to be used anymore. We're not going to have the fuel tank level.
So you just prune the harness and get rid of all the stuff that we don't need.
Exactly.
Okay.
Engine warning lights and stuff like that are going to be changed over to a CAN bus system. So like I pretty much brought over the indicator lights for turning and stuff like that for our new gauges, but the new gauges are going to be much simplified. We're going to have power ground and then a communication cable telling all the gauges the information from the main computer.
It's really interesting what, we are doing here with a car from 1978 and literally bring it to the modern era.
Yep.
And looking at this, you really wouldn't know it's electric. If you don't know what this box is, looks like a stock car.
And you know me, I'm excited because it's getting at least 100 horsepower bump. So I believe this motor puts out 300 ish.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. So it's going to boogie too.
Oh yeah. This thing is going to get it. And the owner, dude, she's been taking classes and getting prepared to drive something this powerful. So I can't wait to see this thing back on the road and somebody truly enjoying it for the rest of their lives. So, all right. Well, hey, we'll see you guys next time at the shop. And Eric, always a pleasure. And looking forward to seeing this when it's done.
Thanks for having me.